say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power.
And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
They both hit hard. Because and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith break down the highly anticipated clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Stephen A. predicts Crawford could edge out a decision win but warns it won't come easily. He recalls Gervonta Davis's caution that if Crawford engages too much, he could find himself in trouble against Canelo's natural size and power. For Stephen A., the key is clear: Crawford must lean on defense, speed, and ring IQ, not exchanges. In this fight, strategy, not strength, will decide the outcome.
Greatness. And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
And that's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight.
Max Kellerman adds that Crawford's all-around skill set looks sharper, giving him the technical advantage. However, he points out Canelo's durability and naturally larger frame, which give him strength in close exchanges. Still, Kellerman notes that in recent outings, Canelo hasn't appeared as dominant or precise as he once was, suggesting a slight decline. This sets the stage for a compelling contrast: Crawford's timing and precision versus Canelo's size and resilience.
Great chin. A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov.
Former champion and respected analyst Antonio Tarver has voiced his support for Crawford, while also acknowledging the monumental challenge ahead. Tarver praises Crawford's proven success across multiple weight divisions but insists this fight is on another level. He calls it not only the toughest test of Crawford's career but also a type of challenge Canelo himself has never truly faced before.
Take, I'm Bud County all the way, but this is going to be the toughest fight, the best fighter Bud has ever been in the ring with. And arguably, this could be the best fighter Canelo has ever been in the ring with. We'll find out which one is which on September 13th.
Antonio, I appreciate your time. Safe travels back home.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
Timothy Bradley Jr., known for his sharp boxing IQ, predicts a cautious opening. He believes both fighters will use the first round to study each other's movement, timing, and tendencies rather than take risks. Bradley explains that Crawford often starts patiently in big fights, setting traps only after reading his opponent. Canelo, too, has shown a tendency to feel out the distance early before making adjustments. For Bradley, the opening round will be less about fireworks and more about chess, a tactical exchange of information.
versa. Crawford wants to feel his punching power as well. You know, in the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. You know, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. You know, it takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although I would say he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, you know, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. You know, and the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. You know, he usually takes off, just feels the power, you know, cruises, you know, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, you know, just gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's gonna be a real like calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's gonna start applying that pressure. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Now, let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, you know, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next.
Amir Khan, who has shared the ring with both fighters, offers a unique perspective. He argues that Crawford has already cemented his legacy as one of the greats, particularly at welterweight, and doesn't need to take this risk. Khan stresses that weight divisions exist for a reason. Fighting naturally bigger opponents carries danger. Still, he recognizes the ambition behind Crawford's decision, framing it as a bold attempt to silence doubters and achieve what few boxers ever have, to defy the limits of weight classes. Khan is clear, though, this is a gamble. Against someone as strong as Canelo, Crawford could either elevate his legacy forever or jeopardize his career.
And we did all the build-up, they were nothing but respectful. I just feel that, you know, in boxing, weight divisions are made there they make him for a purpose. And I highly respect and say pound for pound the best fighter is Crawford by far and beats anyone. But when you start putting weight on and you go up a weight and you fight these guys like Canelo, even though Canelo might be now getting a little bit older and might be slowing down a little bit, but he's still going to be very dangerous. That punch power, you're still going to get tagged, you're still going to get hit. You're going to have to spar heavier guys to get ready for that anyway, so you're going to be taking a lot of wear and tear anyway. You're going to have to put adding a few pounds on. Does he need to put that pressure on himself? He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well that he might do really well in there. So look,
regardless, fight them both. Like what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's weight.
Canelo's strong and is easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard because. And you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
Promoter Tom Loeffler views the fight through the lens of business and spectacle. He explains that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are two of the biggest names in boxing, each commanding massive global fan bases that span cultures and nations. For Loeffler, this matchup is more than just a clash of styles, it's a collision of empires. On one side stands Canelo, the long-established face of boxing, and on the other, Crawford, the pound-for-pound king rising into new territory. He believes the hype is fully justified, noting how rare it is for two fighters of this magnitude to meet. especially when weight differences and legacies are on the line.
High-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. You know, I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. You know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him.
Trainer Dave Caldwell highlights Crawford's versatility, pointing to his ability to switch stances effortlessly and use footwork to dictate range. Caldwell argues that Crawford's movement is one of his most underrated assets, enabling him to create angles, frustrate opponents, and control the rhythm of fights. Against a pressure fighter like Canelo, Caldwell believes these qualities could be decisive. If Crawford can stay mobile and avoid being trapped on the ropes, he has the tools to outmaneuver Canelo and steadily pile up points.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest, and he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. When Crawford gets hit, he does get hit. That's why he's exciting. But he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle, to get that distance.
Jeff Mayweather zeroes in on the issue of size and natural weight. He stresses that Canelo has long been comfortable and dominant at super middleweight, a division that perfectly suits his build. Crawford, by contrast, is stepping into unfamiliar territory, where added pounds could test his speed, stamina, and durability. Mayweather argues that this built-in comfort gives Canelo a major advantage, since he won't be forcing his body into drastic adjustments.
Big factor, and I mean, this is a weight class that Canelo is already, owns. He owns his weight class. So, I mean, and he even went up higher. So, I mean, he's already proven what he can do and what he can take at those other weight classes. So, I mean, I don't know, but if anyone can do it, it probably would be Terence Crawford. I mean, this guy seems like he's amazing. I mean, he's, I'm a big fan of Terence Crawford, but I'm a big fan of Canelo as well. So I mean, it's one of those situations where somebody has to lose. So I don't know who's gonna lose, but I think that it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a great fight.
Ring Magazine analyst notes a weakness in Canelo's recent fights: his diminished ability to cut off the ring. While Alvarez still trains with intensity, this decline has allowed opponents to move freely and neutralize his power. Against a fighter like Crawford, whose style is built on movement and angles, this flaw could become a serious liability. The analyst suggests Canelo must rediscover his ability to trap fighters in close escape routes if he hopes to neutralize Crawford's mobility.
I should have any position to critique and criticize Canelo, but one of the things that he's gotten in trouble with in the last couple of fights, not being able to cut off the ring. You know, you go to the William Scull fight and you watched him chase William Scull around and around and around that ring. And yes, William Scull was running from him. That was pretty clear to see. He was on his bike utilizing his jab, but you didn't see Canelo cut him off. You didn't see him move laterally to be able to stop a lot of that running or stop a lot of that circling around the ropes, which is his responsibility if he's going to take the front foot and look to establish himself offensively. And when I watch Canelo here, he's gotten away with this pretty much his entire career, but I watch him cross-step a lot. And you see it right there, where he goes from circling, he rolls under the right hand, and instead of moving laterally, replacing his back foot with his front foot, he L-steps and then crosses over, which instead of just moving laterally and shifting, like I said, shuffling to his right off of the L-step, off of the reset, which would allow him to be ready to go and ready to fight again, it takes him that extra beat to get back into fight stand.
Former champion David Haye admits his view has shifted. Initially, he believed Canelo's size and power would overwhelm Crawford, leaving the smaller man little chance. But after observing Crawford's preparation, work ethic, and technical sharpness, Haye now sees the fight differently. He concedes that Crawford's skill and discipline give him a real shot at victory.
And that's beating Canelo. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and likewise with Crawford. I never thought there was a version of reality where they'd both be in the ring with each other. I initially automatically assumed, because Canelo's obviously beaten, because he was the light heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, he's just campaigned at a much bigger weight, so a good bigger can beat a good little, usually. Until I saw them standing next to each other and they looked the same size. I couldn't quite figure it out. I was like, okay, if they're the same size, then it's literally pound for pound. Who's pound for pound better? And that's it, they're both pound for pound fighters. A lot of people have got them 1 and 2. And I favoured Canelo starting off, but over time, I'm starting to think, once again, Crawford is one of those guys where he reminds me of kind of Andre Ward a little bit, the mindset, and he wouldn't put himself in a position if he didn't know for sure he had enough firepower to deal with someone of Canelo's stature and Canelo's history. But it's the two best fighters on the planet, mixing it up. It's like it's one of those dream fights, the proper trade fight. You know, that anyone who's interested in boxing wants to see two living legends going at it. Yeah, I can't believe it's actually happening. Does that make sense? Because they're so big in their own right. The fact that that fight would never have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It just wouldn't have happened. And now anything's possible in boxing. Anything's possible.
Former world champion Jeff Horn offers a warning to Canelo Alvarez: size alone doesn't guarantee success. He argues that Crawford's elite defense could blunt Canelo's power, minimizing damage while creating opportunities to counter. Horn points out Crawford's uncanny ability to anticipate punches, roll with shots, and avoid clean hits, skills that could make Canelo's natural size advantage irrelevant if he can't land effectively. He stresses that Crawford's defensive discipline may be the deciding factor, allowing him to frustrate Canelo and strike back with precision. Finally, a veteran fighter who has studied Crawford for years sums it up with conviction: after analyzing Crawford's growth, preparation, and consistency, he simply cannot bet against him. He highlights Crawford's mental toughness and ability to rise to the occasion, qualities that separate him from the rest. In his eyes, Crawford has already proven his place among boxing's greats, and this bout with Canelo is just another stage to showcase his excellence.
Me analyzing and watching Crawford over all these years, I just cannot bet against him, bro.
No, you can't.
I'm going to roll with Crawford, and shout out to Nebraska, and that's just what it is.
I'm so glad you're here, big
I'm gonna go ahead and put my bread down on Crawford, and I'm gonna live with the results.
You were a DB, right?
I played wide receiver, kick return, punt return.
Oh, I thought. Why did I think you was a DB?
No.
Even being a wide receiver, You fit the bill of a Terence Crawford. If Terence was a football player, he more than likely would be a DB or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
How much weight did you put on leaving high school going into college?
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more coverage next time.